It's 7:02. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to call the meeting to order. And I'm going to start with roll call. John,
Here.
Alex, Andy,
Here.
Bettina,
Here.
Emily, here, Kristen,
Here.
Sonia, here. Okay, we have a quorum. We have some absences, I think. Oh, and here's Roberto. Great. Okay, do we have any changes to the agenda for tonight? Going once, going twice. Agenda's approved as is. On to communication from the public on non-agenda items. Do we have agenda? I have a couple people online. I'm going to take them first. I think, is it anyone online? That would be Becky. Hi, Becky. You have 3 minutes. You're muted. There you
Hi.
go.
Can you hear me okay? Oh, there I am. Okay.
There you go.
Sorry about that. Good evening. I wanted to bring to your attention tonight a UT article that was published recently referencing a report by the grand jury stating that San Diego police and sheriff should jointly crack down on the cannabis market. The grand jury recommends that the city develop and publish reports that document the fiscal and law enforcement impacts of legalization, and develop a public education campaign that highlights the impacts of cannabis use on children and seniors specifically. Parents like me are very grateful for this recommendation, as this information is important to public health and safety. The report specifies areas of concern. Areas such as the significant increase in ER visits among seniors and the unprecedented number of hospitalizations of young children who have ingested the product. It also emphasizes the impact the drug has on youth and how the negative effects are lasting, permanently changing the brain as it's being developed. So I bring this to your attention as you have the ability to make recommendations to the council that affect land use. And this seems like a great opportunity to suggest to the council that they strengthen regulations regarding distance separations between marijuana businesses and youth-oriented facilities, specifically parks, churches, schools, residential areas. It would be helpful to encourage the city to create stricter guidelines on advertising, specifically billboards that are located near and around these same sensitive uses. So I thank the grand jury for bringing attention to this matter, and I look forward to the city's assessment. We must learn and implement stronger safeguards to prevent our kids, and along with prevention education. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Becky. Mr. Cooksey, you're up next. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, thank you for having me. My first time on board. I wanted to bring to the Eastern Communities Planning Board's attention. So I'm from the Rolando Village area, just across from the college area. And I want to bring to your attention project number 1112733. This is a proposal to convert land that was a former Rite Aid near my house, and an application has been filed to create an In-N-Out drive-through complex at this area. Now, I personally don't object to In-N-Out. My concerns, however, are that a drive-through complex in this area, on this particular lot, is not a good use of land. And I would really appreciate if the Eastern Communities Planning Board could bring it to the City Council's attention that we really try to change this land. This is the thought of a few people in the Rolando Village area. I feel like I speak for a few of them when I say that we would rather have a bigger complex in this area that has more street-facing businesses. We do not want a drive-through, because I also want to point out that, Becky was pointing out interests about children's safety. We're near Pendleton Elementary School, formerly known as Henry Clay Elementary. And already there's a lot of traffic in the area. A drive-through, especially an In-N-Out, if anybody's seen the Lemon Grove drive-through, this is going to add to all the traffic congestion on Elkhorn Boulevard. It's going to cause more traffic to flow into those areas. Our neighborhood's a very walkable area. We have a lot of new families coming in. A drive-through of this nature would not be something that I feel we want in this part of the neighborhood. I would really appreciate if Eastern Counties Planning Board could, instead of just saying, you know, we don't want this, is to actually go forward to City Council and say, we'll take more businesses, but we don't want it to be a drive-through complex. If In-N-Out wants to be on this lot, could we have more businesses like what South Campus Plaza has on the college area? So we have more street-facing businesses. We can have more street life, wider sidewalks, because we have an apartment complex going up across the street from here. So, yeah, again, I will put it in the chat for the board, but it's project number 1112733 for address is 6405 El Cajon Boulevard. And I'd really like it if we could voice opposing a drive-through complex and just having more business development as far as like a bigger complex with more, just a greater diversity of businesses instead of a drive-through. We don't need more drive-throughs in this neighborhood, I'd say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coetzee. I will say that project is a discretionary project and is in city review right now and is supposed to come to this committee for recommendation sometime in the near future, I believe. Okay, and you'll have plenty of opportunities there to speak about it.
Thank you.
On the record. Thank you very much. Okay, now let's go to our in-person non-agenda comments. I believe you were one of. Go for it. Hi.
See each other.
Hi.
Hello, I am Andrew Ferbert. I'm here on behalf of my wife, who's a candidate for San Diego City Attorney. And so I just wanted to come and introduce myself, give you a little bit of information about her and also what the City Attorney's Office does. It is the oversees 170 attorneys. It is a legal position. And that position also oversees the prosecution of about 20,000 misdemeanors per year. That's one of its roles. Another role is civil litigation. When the city gets sued for a variety of reasons, they are tasked with fighting the defense to the city. And then also the civil advisory division handles advising the mayoral departments and city council on ways to get things done that they want to do. It is not a policy role. It is a very technical role. So as such, I think it's important to have a practicing attorney in that role, of which Heather has been a practicing attorney for her entire career. We moved down here for her to go to law school 20 years ago at USD. And since she graduated, she worked for the San Diego Housing Commission, developing and protecting affordable housing stocks, and then has been at the city for 10 years, currently as a senior chief deputy city attorney. She's advised multiple client departments, including Park and Rec and Environmental Services, and is now with that group that advises the city council on their matters. I'll keep it a little bit short. heatherferbert.com is her webpage. There's also an interview, a Zoom interview from the Union Tribune from a number of months ago. Check that out. And they endorsed her in that race. And we'll also have a booth at the Adams Avenue Street Fair in a couple of months. And say hello. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hey, next, you're up next. Hi.
Hello, everyone. My name is Scott. I'm with the Call and Parent for State Assembly campaign. Council member parent wishes that he could be here, but he's actually at a council meeting in Lisa, where he's currently serving, so he's not able. However, I'm here on his behalf. We are making our rounds to a lot of these community planning groups just to hear from the community and understand what your needs are and what are the things that we ought to be looking at throughout our campaign. Some things that we've been focusing on based on what we're hearing at the door, talking to voters, and also meetings is first and foremost, we're focusing on the roads. We launched a Fix the Roads program early in our campaign to make sure that we're holding the city accountable for the road repairs that they say that they're going to be doing. And most importantly, though, what we want to do is if he's elected to Sacramento, want to make sure that the millions of dollars that are coming from the state to the city for road repair funding are actually being equitably dispersed to those communities that need it most. You know, in District 79, Southeast San Diego, City Heights, Eastern area, all of these areas are oftentimes forgotten, and you know they've been heavily impacted by weather, impacting our roads. And so We just want to make sure that the city is actually doing what they ought to be doing for our communities. We also focus on public safety. A big thing with public safety is we want to make sure that first responders have the necessary funding and resources that they need to do their jobs and protect our communities. But we also want to make sure that we're listening to our community members and instilling a trust and understanding between community and the first responders to make sure that our community knows that the first responders are acting in their best interest, and we can hold them accountable for this as well. And finally, he's worked for over a decade on affordable homes for folks to actually purchase and affordable housing for folks that need it. And that goes hand in hand with, addressing our homelessness problem that we have here in San Diego and across California. So he wants to continue doing that work. He's already been working with policymakers to make sure that we're addressing those issues, and he wants to do more up in Sacramento to impact and help our communities in San Diego. If you have any questions or you want to reach out, I have some brochures up here. It has his actual personal cell and his email, so please reach out with any other issues that you think we should be focusing on our campaign, or if you just want to hear more and get on our email list, you can go to calmparent.org and sign up for any updates on there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Scott. If there's any other non-agenda comments? Renee?
I wanted to give a shout out to John. I would do it for Jennifer, but she's not here. And also Officer Cummings, because we had our neighborhood watch meeting for Redwood Village, and we had lots of new members, and having community council members and an officer show up at our meeting lent so much credibility to our neighborhood watch meeting. Everybody was so impressed. So thank you.
Thank
Glad
you.
to be there.
Thanks very much, Renee. Any other comments? All right, we'll move on to communication from our representative reports, and it's going to, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, I was just raising my hand.
Okay, I have one online, and that's Roberto Marin, and I'm gonna let Roberto go first, and then we'll come to you. Thank you. Roberto?
Hey, thank you guys. Good evening. I have COVID, so I'm not there. I am hunkered down. Yeah, I'm hunkered down. I've had it for a while, so apologies for not being there. A couple updates. Thank you again to Lynn and the rest of the board, as always, for flagging a lot of issues. Want to highlight a couple. First one being Choice Parkway was cleaned up about a week and a half ago, maybe even a little more. We had stormwater officials, we had ESD, we had MPD, a large collaboration, cleaning out the culverts. I did send some photos of before and after to Lynn and Richard. It was extensive. We had a chainsaw down there. We had a kayak. It was very interesting. But nevertheless, it was a lot of trash. It was picked up and kind of finalized. One of the things I do want to note is that there is an item coming to council. The stormwater department's going to be asking the council $4 million in additional funding to fix some of the fencing. From what I understand, it's not going to be the rinky-dinky fences that you see around Choice Parkway. It's going to be, from what I understand, kind of like Caltrans fencing, kind of like it. So more sturdier, more basically kind of making sure folks don't get down there. I don't know when the item's coming to council. I did talk to the deputy director about it. And he mentioned that some of the work, and this goes not just for District 9, this goes for citywide. So this includes District 4. Some of the reasons why some of the channels have not gotten proper fencing, or, the concrete's still kind of damaged, it's because they need more funding. And so we'll be on the lookout for that item and make sure that we can address it accordingly. I'm still working with Officer Cummings on a lot of hot spots. One of them being on 60th and Rock. Officer Cummings and I spoke today at length about that. The ESD and Urban Corps did trim down all of the vegetation there, and it looks a lot better now. But as you know, those folks just went around the corner to Rock Street. So definitely looking to see if we can get those folks some housing, but also making it clear that they can't be disrupting, folks' livelihoods and public safety. So working with Officer Cummings on that. Lynn has met with the council president, addressed some of her issues in Rolando Park and just the greater eastern area. One of the things I know they talked about was the University Avenue tree canopy. We are still working through that. And I think it was a good conversation to have with Lynn. I do know for a fact, and I told this to Lynn, is that they are going to be setting up a meeting with stakeholders, which includes groundworks. I made sure to include Lynn and anyone else on this board that would want to attend and chime in. So that would include John, Bob, Jennifer, and anyone else, quite frankly, that would like to give input. We are going to probably meet with Brian Wilder, the urban forester. We're going to meet with transportation, Sandag, and also the mayor's office. So we are working on that. Initial thing that is going on right now is doing a feasibility study on the corridor to see where more trees can be planted. As far as I understand from preliminary thoughts, seems like they're going to be able to plant at least 20 more. So 20 plus 20, that's 40 more trees. Right now, I don't have those exact locations. They just told me 20 trees. So it is better than 10 when we started, right? We're at 40, but still, nevertheless, and council member has made it clear, he doesn't care where they go. We need more trees between Aragon all the way to, I believe, to 50. Yeah, basically to the end of Redwood Village. So, and that was made clear to Lynn. And so we'll continue to advocate. We're strategizing with groundworks behind the scenes, also with Lynn and other folks to see what's the best course. As you know, I'm not sure, and Lucero's not here to get today again. Not surprising. But basically, not sure where the mayor's office is on this. I'm not sure if they're even kind of fully engaged, to be quite honest. So I think moving forward, once we get more direction, working with Julio, government affairs manager, we'll definitely reach out to y'all to see if we can mobilize and coalesce around this kind of project. Because at the end of the day, I've ran through that area many times, and it is a heat island, and it is very important for us to understand that providing projects that actually mean well to the community is super important, and not just putting a project with concrete, but putting a project that folks can be proud of. So we're working on that, and happy to have additional conversations on that. One of the things I think Jeffrey mentioned to me from the Storage Connect meeting, some folks had questions about, well, when is it closing? I still have the date, I believe September 28th or 27th. That is next month. It's supposed to close. I don't have much detail other than that, but that still is planned. I haven't heard of any delays of such. So we will be working on that. And lastly, a lot of folks have been asking me about the vacation of Choice Parkway. I know some of our policy team and our chief of staff has a meeting with Andy Field and a couple other higher ups in the next month or so to get a concrete timeline and update. So stay tuned for that. And lastly, this same space that you're in, Teen Challenge, they have offered to do a carnival. I have talked to Lynn and Jennifer to see if we can do kind of a joint tri-community carnival, like a fall festival. Basically, that would be a resource fair. We would have carnival games. Our staff would, along with our interns, would help out and staff those games. So the one of a kind experience. We're looking to probably bringing a petting zoo. That is very early in the stages. But we definitely are interested in doing that there. So if you want to partner up, or if you want to provide input, please let me know. We're in the early stages of that. Nothing's concrete, but Mike Conway, the director here at Teen Challenge, was gracious enough to let us use the parking lot and the additional space if we need it. So happy to take some questions. Yeah.
Hey, Danielle, you have your hand up?
Yes, hi Roberto, and thank you for being here when you're not feeling too well. Sorry about that. I did get from Storage Connect an update today, and I asked Lynn to send it to the board. 2 points since the meeting in July that I asked about when the Storage Connect 2 will be closed. Their answer today in writing was September 30th, 2024. The other point is about the vacation of the street before the park can get started. For the timelines, they say to contact Richard Rios of City Engineering and Capital Projects. And the email is RARIOS@sandiego.gov. And lastly, if you're going to be meeting with District 9 and Mr. Field, I would like to be invited to that meeting, please, as Park and Rec rep.
Yes, most definitely.
Thank you.
Definitely touch base offline. Yeah, no worries.
Okay.
I'll
get
make
better
sure,
soon.
I'll make sure, Danielle. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have any questions here for Roberto?
Can we just do a shout out really quick?
Sure, real quick.
Roberto, I didn't know that you were here. I didn't see it. This is Renee Jones, and I just wanted to give you a shout out for helping us with our problem child tenant at our College Park townhomes. Thank you very much for all the assistance and for responding to us. And I didn't mean to leave you out. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Quick addition to that. I will be talking to the sheriff's department in a matter of days to see what's going on with their backlog. Danny, I do see you in the audience, so I haven't forgotten about you. So just stay tuned on that. I just also want to thank just everyone on the board again. You guys have been gracious. And just kind of moving forward, just really looking at the future and just really hoping we can collaborate more on everything. And I really appreciate everyone being here tonight as well.
Thank you, Roberto.
Roberto,
I think,
one-
just a second.
Okay.
Jen, you had Jennifer, I see you online. I'm going to take a question from Jen first.
Oh.
And then I'll get to you and then John.
Hey, Roberto, it's Jen. I missed the date of the fall carnival. Could you repeat that, please?
Yeah, so we don't have a date right now yet. So it's going to be in sometime in the fall. But if you are interested, I would connect with Lynn and Jennifer. They will be kind of helping me out coordinate this, but more than happy to talk offline with everyone to see what we can do in that sense.
Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah,
thank
no worries,
you.
Jen.
Jennifer?
Thank you. Thanks. I just wanted to also thank Roberto personally for working on the cleanup of the Choyas Parkway. Huge improvement. And I know we need to send those before and after photos out to Redwood Village. And we'll work on that as soon as we can. And also thank you for working on the corner of 60th and University. I noticed the shift to Rock Street, but I think it is in terms of the University Avenue angle, it's a slight positive, but I'm looking forward to some more improvements in that area specifically as well. Thanks so much, Roberto.
Thanks, Jennifer. John?
She
stole your thunder?
I just wanted to make sure you got that we
Okay.
said thank you.
All right. Any other questions for Roberto? We'll move on and to our in-person representatives. Hi, could you introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, my name is Joshua Dunn. I am the community rep for Supervisor Monica Montgomery. Normally Karen Federico would be here, but she's out of town. I miss her dearly. So I won't be here, but I'm here. I just want to give you a few updates, not too many. In the District 4 office, we are in our grant cycle. So that is, deadline is October 1st for the grant. So if you know any organizations that could benefit, I'm sure we all know some, please direct them to our office and all the other offices as well, because we're in a grant cycle. Additionally, the equity, the County Office of Equity and Racial Justice is also in their grant cycle as well. That deadline is August 23rd. So if you know of anyone that is, really championing social justice around racial inequities, please send them there as well. You can find all of these links on the District 4 website, or if you're on Instagram, also within our Instagram. We are also looking to fill our remaining vacancies with our boards and commissions. Those remaining vacancies are the Emergency Medical Care Committee, the INAC abatement. That's been kind of a tough one to find someone who specializes in that. And then my personal favorite, the fly abatement. So if you know anyone that, has those specialties, please, please, please send them to me. I'll leave my cards right here, and that's really all I have tonight. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Karen will be back next month then.
Yeah, she'll be
Okay,
back,
thanks for filling in for.
of
Yeah.
course.
I wasn't expecting anyone tonight because she sent me an email that she wouldn't. be
Yeah,
here.
he's like, you gotta go.
I know, thanks, Tim. Richard, you had a question?
Yeah, very quick on the funding, grant applications. Most nonprofits are 501(c)(3)s, which, we're familiar with them. There's also a C4. I'm wondering if, for all these funding opportunities, if a organization is under a C4 classification, if they can also apply for funding or ask to be included in the request.
They can, yes,
Okay,
yes, they can.
Okay,
all right, thank you.
all right, thank you. And last but not least is Mr. Bruce Williams from Council Member Henry Foster III's office. Thank you.
You're gonna have to move up or talk louder.
Combination of both. So Bruce Williams, representing Council Member Henry Foster III, the Fourth City Council District, City of San Diego. I have some newsletters, so if you haven't gotten any by email and you're at the Fourth District, I can pass them out to you. I don't have too much to say. We just left the Jacob Center. We had a Get It Done Day where we had an opportunity to meet with the Get It Done team, the Panda folks over at City Hall, and they went over how to use the Get It Done app. And now folks are out that doing Get It Done right now, supposedly. But it was a good turnout. And this evening, thank you for being there. And hopefully we'll have a greater turnout next time. The only thing I really wanted to, or do you need one?
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Sure. So with that, we do have office hours. So if you would like to meet with the council member, we meet on Fridays. A lot of the issues are dealing with things that we can help you with, right? Not interviews. Some people just want to come and interview them, and so they can go out and tell their friends, hey, I talked to him and he said this and that and the other. But we want to deal with real neighborhood issues that we can go back to City Hall and say, help this person with this issue. So you can do the other thing too, but we really like to be able to help people from our community. We meet on Fridays between 1:30 and 4:30 at the Live Well Center on Market and Euclid. So we encourage you to come out, meet with the council members. You need to make an appointment though at Paul Stephanie at 619-226-6644, and we'll do our best to assist you. You may not get the answers that you want. We'll do our best. Any questions?
Yes. Just a minute. There's someone ahead of you, John.
Oh. And yeah,
Danielle's first.
That's
Hi, Danielle.
right. Hi, Mr. Bruce. This is Danielle, and it's an question. Last month, Dr. Manuela Ippolito and I came and met council member for the first time, and it was a wonderful meeting. But we've been trying to get updates from your office since then, and now that school has started, I'm not sure how much Dr. Ippolito has time to continue her advocacy for a skate park in a specific area of Council District 4. So could you give us an update, please, by email of any news from that empty lot across the street that we had talked about?
I did leave Dr. Ippolito a voicemail
Voicemail
regarding
recently?
the status of that property.
Okay, good, because it wasn't on the email, so I'm not sure the last few days. So thank you for that.
Sure.
And the other question is, do you know how long College Grove Drive is going to have that interesting parking configuration?
Weeks.
College Grove Drive. Wait. Okay. I shouldn't admit this, but what's going on there?
Well, 1,000 city workers have to have a different place to
Oh, no,
park.
gotcha. Yes. I'm thinking of Alex.
Yeah.
I do not know the answer to that question, but it
Could
is in
you-
our district and we will get an answer.
Okay, can you do some magic and find out and please let Lynn know so she can let everybody in the neighborhood know?
Yes, I will send it out.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
and
'cause
Jen, you
we
had a
all got
question?
the initial update and it said a few weeks, but it's looking
Yeah.
like a few months now. So we would like a little more clearer update.
We'll make that happen.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
especially for our Little League. Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
Since Renee and Jennifer are giving out shout outs, I'd like to shout out to Mr. Bruce Williams for being on top of a get it done. It's really about who you know, and if you want something done, call him and he'll get it done. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I want to say I did a couple of those when we were in District 4. And it was really a very helpful exercise. Not for me because I use it every day, but to have for other people in the community to learn how to use it. And just take a drive through your neighborhood and start documenting things that can be fixed via Get It Done.
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk our D9 office into considering that for our neighborhoods, for communities. So anyway, thank you, John.
Following up on that, I just wondered, is there any resource for perhaps the recording of that online or any, like if I wanted to send out a YouTube video on how to use Get It Done, is there something like that available either through your office or through the city?
No, I'm not sure if we taped the one that we just did, but I can check out the Panda folks, Alex,
Mhm.
and see what, if they've got something that they can online or
Alex
Cool.
said that PowerPoint today would be online.
it will be,
Okay.
okay.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's something like that would be really helpful because I think a lot of people don't understand the concept of it. And in our neighborhood, I know a lot of people are still kind of wrapping their heads around the idea of an app.
So I'll get that. back to you. Okay,
All right.
thank
Any
you.
other
Let me ask you
questions?
early.
Yep. Thank you very much, Bruce. All right, that concludes the representative reports. So we're on to our action items tonight. And the first one I hope won't take too long. Did everyone get a copy of the proposed text change for our operating procedures? Okay, I had to make a change. I added some text. I had a question out to Marlon about a week ago and he finally responded today. And he had a recommendation for some change. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so rather than renumber this whole section, I put this information, this is on meeting procedures. I put it at the end because I didn't feel like renumbering. So the first paragraph actually does come directly from Marlon. He's a representative from city planning at the CPC meetings. And he did send this out to all the chairs. I don't know if you saw it, Laura, but it was his recommendation to start off this information. It's sort of vague. And when I first started thinking about what else we needed to include, I got buried in the weeds a little bit. And then I decided, no, we don't want to be pinned down too much. But he did suggest that we include this information, which is what to do if we don't have the technology. And that could happen. I'm sick or I'm out for an extended period. The resort will be that if it happens at night, I get in a car wreck on the way here, the meeting, the meeting gets canceled and rescheduled. But if it turns out it's for an extended period of time, then the only alternative really is that we have to resume in-person meetings. So other than that, we are sort of, as we talked about last time, we can set our own standards for how many mandatory meetings we want people to show up for, which is once a quarter. So if we work on a calendar year, so January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, and you catch a break in December because we usually don't meet in December. So please show up October or November, one of those two. But that will be our option for now. And I suggest that we just try this for a year and then evaluate it once a year. Normally after the elections, do a little housekeeping kind of stuff and just make sure everything still works and that you do have a backup alternative person in case the host can't make it or something. So that's all I'm adding to that. Questions, comments, any more information anyone would like to add? Yes, Alex.
So do we need to have, as part of this in writing, the idea of, once a quarter,
No,
that's just something we'll agree upon.
that's why I say, yeah, I think, every year we have elections in April. So every year, it's one of those things where I think you want to evaluate it in a year and see how it's working. Like a year from now, you might find out 2 people show up in person, and that's not what we're trying to do. I mean, we want to accommodate everyone. We still want to make sure that meeting attendees, that any resident can show up in person or Zoom, but also that if they do show up in person, that we have a fairly good representation here of members. Richard, you had it.
Yes, thanks, Lynn. Real quick question, 2 questions. Number one, who paid for the equipment? That's in 1, 2, and 3. And can we get a second camera? Because we only have 1 camera and it only shoots half of the crowd and half of the board. 2 cameras, we could, encompass everything. But that costs money, and does the city, do they relegate money to the planning groups for something like this?
Not really. We have a $500 reimbursement stipend each year. And right now, Rolando Park Community Council provides the Zoom for the meeting because we hold hybrid meetings ourselves. So it's just easy to do this. But, as an alternative, you can get Microsoft Teams, which is half of what Zoom costs, literally $50 a month. Cameras are pretty expensive. This one that I have here, which is really made for church services, costs $300. That conference speaker, which is an omnidirectional, that means it picks up sound around the room instead of straight on. That's $100. It does a pretty good job for what it is. I think you can get them on Amazon now for $79. So those are your 2 big expenses. I mean, you can set up a webcam. I would hesitate to recommend for a static group meeting that you have 2 cameras. I just think that's sort of overkill. There's probably a way better angle than this one is at, but it does get the majority of the people the majority of the time. And it's someday when we have time, maybe we can futz with it some more and set it up a little further away or I've tried it on the other side of the room. Not always great either. Anyway, that's what I want to say about that. So yeah, Kristen.
So in the scenario where you term out shortly here,
Yes.
Are we going to purchase something that just stays with Eastern area since most of the stuff belongs to Rolando Village? And then there can be equipment specific for Eastern area or what would be the protocol for that in case it belongs to people and then they end up not being part of Eastern area anymore?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you have to buy equipment, and like all technology, everything is obsolete 2 years after you buy it. So don't overbuy for anything. You can get I have a little webcam that I used to use here. It just sits on a little mini tripod. If you have one with some kind of a zoom lens, you can use that. I would say it would have to stay with the committee because the committee will pay for it. I mean, someone's going to pay for it and then wait for the city to reimburse them. That's what. So it is something to start thinking about.
You have to bring your own computer too, so you're using your personal or.
Yeah.
Is that to consider, right?
Yeah. Ramon, did you have a comment?
Yeah, hey everyone. Hopefully none of the accidents do happen to any board member. But for example, some of the things that we've done for Southeastern Community Planning Group and the Choyas Valley Community Planning Group, we've let them borrow a laptop, also a camera. So if this is something that, that I can bring it up to Leslie and my team and see if we can also provide just an extra laptop and an extra camera just in case for Eastern area.
Okay, well, we won't need it right away. It'll be a few minutes away. Laura?
One of the things being considered for CPC is the request to the city council to allow us to have more money to get set up with these things. Because their new requirements are requiring it, and the $500 doesn't cover it really. So they're talking, and it's come up at several meetings now. We've discussed it again at the last meeting. Haven't heard anything concrete, but talking about $3,000 a year. Wow. Just because there's website maintenance and all sorts of things, as well as Zoom equipment. So, we'll see.
Sure, I'm not the only person who would have access to Zoom or Teams to use for a meeting after I'm gone, so I don't think that's the real problem.
When do you term out?
March.
This March.
Yeah.
And then you have to be gone a year, and then
You have to be gone a year, and if I'm gone a year, I'm probably gone.
Well, if there's a vacancy, are you allowed to fill it?
Our operating procedures allow us to fill
That's
it,
what I
yeah,
thought.
yeah,
With 2/3 vote, if there's still vacant.
yeah, yep. Okay, so just some other things to think about. I mean, we've still got several months to figure all this out for people, and I might buy a new speaker or something else. In that case, I would donate this one
This
to,
one does a good job. I've been impressed with the quality of our online YouTube thing. So
Mhm.
you can hear everything really well.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed when I look at the videos on YouTube, the audio is pretty good enough. So, back to this addition, any comments or any changes? Yeah, Laura.
On number 1, should it say for a single meeting on the day of to cancel and reschedule the meeting, or solely to cancel and reschedule? Because, yeah, right there.
Yeah, do what?
Because we don't want to do anything else. We just want to do that one thing, right?
Yeah, if, let's say it's just a one-off situation, then yeah, you would just cancel that day
Right.
and reschedule.
If we said solely, it won't be confusing that any other activity would be done.
For a single meeting on the day of.
But if we knew in advance that we weren't gonna have stuff, we would want to cancel more than the day of, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think the day of language is.
I'll tell Marlon. No, this can.
Would we have to have a meeting if somebody knew that they weren't gonna, like you said, something happened to you, say 2 days before?
Mm-hmm.
Would we have to have a meeting on we would, because the public.
Yes,
Okay, I see why you have that.
yeah.
It's your point to make it more clear on the day of
Yeah,
the scheduled meeting, cancel and reschedule for a future meeting. I mean, let's put the word meeting in there 3 times, but.
Yeah,
I know.
that sentence isn't very clear to me. Sorry. I know it's Marlins, but I'm not sure what it means.
Say something like, in case of a catastrophe, on the day of a planned meeting,
Mm.
we would cancel and reschedule said meeting.
So the question here is, I mean, we say a couple of days ahead of time, right? If you have a couple of days ahead of time, people can just do the in-person part.
Yeah.
You don't need to cancel them. Right? I think the single meeting on the day of is because you don't have time to notify people to show up to the meeting.
Right.
But otherwise you do. So I think that's what he's specifying here.
like I wake up and I test positive for COVID that morning, clearly we're not gonna have a meeting, so.
Yeah.
Put you in a chair and.
Yeah, the meeting on Zoom from the fifth.
There's like all of these terrible things. happening.
Yeah, I'm sort of a fatalist. Everything's going south right away. So yeah, that's just to cover something that does happen like that, or I get in an accident. Excuse me. My car,
You
the
win
battery
the
doesn't work
lottery.
in my car. Oh yeah, I win the lottery, yeah. Bye-bye.
There you go.
Have to go shopping for a new house.
Now, if your battery goes bad, you can do Uber. You have no
Yeah.
excuses.
So am I hearing some revisions to that? No?
Is Marlon an attorney?
No, he's a planner.
Be on our side?
Yeah, actually, they did have I don't know if he's an attorney. A guy who worked in Stephen Whitburn's office, and I think he is an attorney, kind of wrote all those things.
Mhm.
And so I think they have had a legal review.
I think they get reviewed.
Yeah.
By the city attorneys.
And then I think they were even blessed by the city attorney's office after.
Yeah.
I think it's really not too hard to understand.
No. And now that we've all talked about it, we know what happens.
Yeah, I get it now that we talked about it, but just reading it on its own. I think it's just an awkward sentence is what it is, missing a comma or something. I don't know.
That comma after of, I think it's.
There's-
that
yeah.
pause.
Yeah, but you have to sort of,
Make yourself stop.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, someone make a motion to approve this edition.
Make a motion to approve this edition.
Sonia, seconded by Laura. Roll call vote. John?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Bettina?
Yes.
Emily? Jen?
Yeah.
Kristen?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Sonia?
Yes.
All right. That action item is approved unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Richard, you will be able to vote online next meeting, not tonight. All right. I'm going to sharing, and we're going to move on to some exciting stuff.
Exciting.
Review and approve our infrastructure priorities. Just a comment, everybody did use the survey? I think everyone sent it out. Any comments about how it worked for anybody? No, pretty straightforward, I think. Okay. So I did really enjoy reading some of the open-ended questions or responses. Those are always, I think, very interesting. But I think sometimes I just want to say this. One of the things you get out of open-ended questions like this are you realize you have some gaps. And a lot of times they're communication gaps. People who might respond to this quite often aren't people who come to the meetings. So they're unaware of, number one, that we've talked about the fact we can't have a dog park for the last 5 years. And there it is again. Or things like undergrounding, parks. But I see these as really opportunities for your community councils to do some outreach. You have email addresses for some of these people, or just talk about it at meetings and talk about the results and the questions that came up and why it's not possible, or what the next steps would be to make it a priority for the community. It's really sort of a good engagement tool, I think, as well as an outreach tool. So anyway, yes.
Futuristically, it might be nice if I know that there was the option to either do email or address, but maybe if we could collect both, and that way we could personally reach out to people via email and say, thank you for taking the time to take the survey. We hear you.
Yeah.
that we understand that you want parks. Please come to our next community meeting to voice your concern, or I don't know. I mean, if they did provide their address, but I don't know. Knock on their door. I see you took the survey.
But you could leave a card for them,
Sure.
or, you know, a little flyer or something, and just say, you know, and give them the information on how to reach you if they do want to talk about it. Yeah. The reason I usually do and or is because if you ask people specifically for their email address, a lot of people just back out the survey. They don't want to do that. Or, and some people don't want to give you their address, but they're happy to give you their email address. So it's sort of, if you let them decide, they'll give you one of them. We did have a few where people didn't fill anything in, and so we sort of dismissed those.
Or they put another.
They put another priority in there instead of an address.
Of an
you know.
email.
And that happened not only to you, but a couple of others. So. Yeah. So yeah, Jen.
I looked at Webster's and there were 8 responses. Did any other neighborhood have multiple, like double-digit responses?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Your neighborhood was more engaged?
Yeah,
We had a bunch.
you had 17 or 18, El Cerrito had 18, we had 27. But I just want to say, we've been doing this for a little while. We do an annual community priority thing in January, and we just always take ideas from everybody and then put them up on a form and let the community council members vote on. And so people are sort of used, at least for us, sort of used to it. It works. You don't want to do it all the time because it'll wear out pretty fast. The city does this all the time, and I'm really tired of surveys. But I think it's a pretty effective way to reach people. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Next time it would be nice to have more time, because I know for Rolando, it was like going to, we'd get them to send it out and they send it out on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we won't be doing this one again for 5 years. This is a 5-year.
I was just gonna ask that. They're not gonna have it every year?
You
even though
can.
This is a 5-year.
This, no, so this is sort of interesting in that last year we did it. And it was almost anonymous the way the city collects it. You don't even get an acknowledgement. So I made sure that I put EAC and the community and everyone I submitted. And I suspect it didn't work very well for the planning department. So this year, now that we've been through all the brouhaha about reforming and stuff, they're reaching out and asking planning groups to do it the way we've always done it, which is a 5-year outlook.
Well, the only problem is that they do the budget every year. And we've always had kind of the budget and some sort of a CIP review, because things come up that you weren't anticipating. Say this year, next year, there might be things that come up.
But I mean, for us, we have not done that every year. We did it last year, and that was the first time since 2021 that we had looked, which was the last time they did a 5-year outlook. Because I mean, it was right in the middle of COVID. Richard was there, Alex was there. And I will say that any community, any individual can just go to I'll provide the link, and you can go and try and get something on the priority list. I would hope that it has some effect, impact by coming from planning groups, but we'll see.
Doesn't seem very efficient to just do it for 5 years and then not do anything.
Yeah, we had pretty good response. So from the last one we did, I counted, I think we had 40%. We had 14 of the 30 projects that were on there. So
Over the 5 years.
Mhm,
But
with the
haven't a lot of other things come up during that same 5 years? 5 years is a long.
Yes, it is. I think they're just saying this is for planning,
Well, I understand that. I understand having the 5-year forecast.
Yeah.
I don't understand not having interim updates,
Yeah,
especially since they do the budget every year.
that's true.
I agree in that if you have something in 2020 and you miss that window, then it isn't until 2025 that you're able to then ask for it again, which means it probably won't it could not be addressed until 2030. So it turns into 10 years if you're
Yeah.
one day late.
I just think this is a very difficult exercise to go through, and I personally don't want to do it every year. I'm gonna get to you, Danielle, in just a minute, but we did this at the end of last year. And we ended up with over 30 projects.
Yeah.
I went and looked at every single project. And everything that was turned in, a lot of them turned out not to be CIP requests, but actual things that could be accomplished with other funding or with Get It Dones. So I think the best way that I would say to start is to do what we tried to do at the street fair this year, and that's start early in collecting some input from the community. That one didn't work out well. I'm sorry, Kristen, but we really will have to use stickies when we do things like that. But start collecting some ideas early that those can then become like a priority list that can be reviewed. Danielle?
I just wanted to chime in and say that remember that planning also does 5-year outlooks, not just the yearly budgets. So that's kind of jiving.
Whoops. Danielle, we lost.
I'm sorry. I bumped the
Oh.
wrong button when I pushed the unmute on the screen. I bumped another button down here. So I just wanted to chime in and say that remember planning also does 5-year outlooks. So having the 5-year lists from the planning groups kind of jives with what they do. And when money comes available in the yearly budgets, they look to their 5-year list and they check off the easiest ones that need the less money. So it's not just the yearly budgets, it's also 5-year outlooks. Thanks.
Thanks, Danielle.
I understand that. I just think that other things come up.
I agree.
Yeah, because
So,
other priorities might come up within those 5 years.
Well,
And you gotta wait another 3 to 4 years.
no, this is really sort of forecasting.
right.
I think it's for funding purpose, so you can look ahead and sort of see what you're going to need funding wise for the next 5 years. Things are going to come up. Look how stormwater came up this year. Yeah.
Think of how long we've had choice up park there at Wales, Triangle, and the library put done, always goes by, and, so many, the hawks that we finally got, they live on forever, so it makes sense to have a big long list with a few.
Sure. And the way city planning works now, that project, even though it's an approved CIP, is going to sit in preliminary until there's funding to take it to the next phase. So it's not going to design, it's not going anywhere until they find funding to get the GDP done or, So if you ever look, there can be a lot of projects in preliminary sometimes. Yep. Real quick, I want to look at all of these individually so everyone knows what priorities are for each community. And then we'll just do a quick vote. I want to give everyone some opportunities to look at them and ask questions. So I'm going to start with that I actually have a file. I'll probably just go alphabetically from this. We'll start with okay, I'm starting with El Cerrito. And so that's your top priority here is the Leah Street connection. Is that correct? Okay. And remove chain link fence on 54. That's a great project right there. it's an opportunity to add some landscaping there. Replace broken sidewalks. Did you see Tom Silva sent the list from the college area? I think they're also looking at some sidewalks on El Cajon Boulevard. And planting of trees and shrubs on 2 roundabouts on Vale. That's great because that sort of fits in with the stream. Can everybody see this? Do I need to make it a little larger? So and so the roundabouts, that's very similar to what needs to happen on Streamview for phase 1, 2, and that is just concrete. So, and then mobility study on El Cajon Boulevard. Okay.
And our
Comments?
strip on El Cajon Boulevard is the narrowest strip on the whole El Cajon Boulevard from where it starts to where it ends.
Mhm.
And so, we don't have the area like Rolando does to be very generous with a lot of things, so.
Yeah, but we did have a number of folks who filled out the survey, asked for like bike lanes on El Cajon Boulevard, parking. And we're like, okay, let's do a study, mobility study before we do that. And the other recommendation, there's already a bike route, Trojan, which is just south of El Cajon Boulevard. So rather than have the bike route on El Cajon, it goes on Trojan that comes up 60th Street back to El Cajon. And you can also do one up on, was it, Adams? Yeah, and so there could be kind of bike lanes, parallel with El Cajon Boulevard, but not on the boulevard. Is where El Cajon is in El Cerrito, it's the narrowest for like 10 miles either direction. It's 2 lanes each direction, no median, and then stuff like that. But we thought, given that at least I think 3 or 4 people asked for that, we decided to go ahead and put it on. But to ask rather than say, let's do it, and do a mobility study, see what's feasible with that particular part of El Cajon Boulevard. And the other one, project number 2, I don't know if you guys drive up and down 54th Street, but there's that chain link fence down the middle. And I'm sure it's to stop jaywalkers, is my suspicion. But of course, it collects trash and weeds and junk. And anyway, so a couple of folks said, let's get rid of that chain link fence. And then, I went, well, if you do that, they're not going to just leave it open. So then, in fact, I came up with the idea of putting a hedge there, something that would also be green and would serve as a barrier. You're not going to pop it. And so, that was the genesis of that idea. Beautify 54th Street all the way from El Cajon to University.
Yeah,
Just as far as that chain link fence.
It's a really long fence. Jen?
These are awesome ideas. Why can't we put them all forward?
They all are going forward.
Oh, they are.
But there's one priority. Yeah.
And the Leah Street one is the one that we thought was most important because when Torres Triangle Park gets built, that kills an access between University and 54th. And the idea is to take Leah Street and punch it through all the way to University. So people don't have to go all the way up to the light only to come back south again.
How far is that?
How far is what?
From here, from the end of the street to University?
Quarter mile, maybe?
Yeah. So I did share an email and I just want to reiterate this, that the architect for the Choice Triangle Park said that the city, at this point, the city didn't intend to finish Leah Street, that they would let the developer make that decision. Well, because the city, it's like, why would I pay for this? And make the developer pay for this. And I do know, I don't know if you know about PANA, Partnership for to Advance New Americans. It's Randy Van Vleck. And they are building a hub center right there. They just bought the All People's Church. That location, it's 2.5 acres. And they plan to put a hub center in there. And they're not, so it would fall to them, and they are not so crazy about the idea of opening Leah Street up. Because they envision having some green space between their center and the park. So we're putting it forward. I'm just saying that it could not go forward because it might be, it's between the city and the developer. And the city, if the city wants to make them do it or not. So
What's interesting too is on the renditions from the architect, he does go through.
he said though, they had to put something on there to have
I know.
for the GDP.
Well, not only that, but it gives access to the park for people on University. I mean, it's.
I'm sort of skeptical about that because I think that street could be a cut through street and then you're gonna ruin the park by having 15,000 cars a day go through there. It probably should be out on University. That would be my biggest concern is it will ruin the park. It's a cut through street now. And so you're just creating another cut through street.
Well, you're right, it is, Joyce Parkway is, but it adds an awful lot more traffic to the 54th University intersection, which is considered a dangerous intersection. And that's just gonna put a whole lot of traffic through there, and people are gonna have to go, and then to get to the park, you have to go all the way down and then through. Lee Street it's always shown that it was gonna be there, but then right away they started saying, but shortly after they started saying, well, maybe it won't.
Yeah.
Anyway, the idea is that we put this up to the city to go.
Yeah, let's put them on it too. Richard? Richard?
Hi, yeah, thank you. Yeah, just going back to what Alex was talking about, the chain link fence, I'm very familiar with that. And when someone ran through the fence and knocked it over, and they knocked the sign down that says right turn only. And so the city decided not to put that sign back up. So now you have people coming from that shopping center making left-hand turns they have to cross University Avenue southbound and then make your left-hand turn on University Avenue northbound. Or no, excuse me, 54th. 54th southbound and then 54th northbound. And it's pretty dangerous the way it is right now. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out in the air. If Alex's idea about putting a hedge there it goes, I would recommend putting a hedge all the way up and close that gap up so that you can't make a left-hand turn onto 54th Street going north. You have to go down to Trojan and make your U-turn like we used to before, and then get back on University. So that's just my suggestion, for whatever it's worth.
Do you know why they didn't put the sign back up?
I guess they decided not to do it. I mean,
But
I
get
don't
it.
know I don't know how they think that maybe it wasn't in the budget for a sign. I don't know how they think in the city of San Diego.
Yeah. Danielle, and then.
Yeah,
Danielle,
two questions for Alex. Who would pay for the shrubs down the middle of 54th Street? Would you have to start a MAD? And look at how much effort it is just to get street trees on University Ave. And who's going to pay for watering those? So I highly doubt adding a hedge. I highly recommend not removing the fence because that's actually one of my first wins with the city way back when Judy McCarty was our council lady, District 7, noticing taking my kids down to Little League, down 54th Street, thousands of students from Crawford, Horace Mann would cross anywhere they pleased along 54th Street. If you just put a hedge, they're going to hop it, and I don't think you're going to be able to maintain them. So I would just recommend putting some nice fencing and having cleanups, community cleanups along 54th, but that's just my suggestion.
We gotta keep the fence for sure.
Yeah. Thanks, Danielle. Andy and then John. Andy?
Yeah, going down and heading north on 54th Street to get to University. A lot of people take Cottage Grove or Parkway as the way to get to University rather than go down to the light on University and make that right.
Mm-hmm.
I never go to the stoplight if I'm going to, say, Food for Less. I always take that shortcut. There's a lot of people that do it.
Oh, yeah.
I go ahead and take a little survey. Okay, how many people are gonna go straight? How many people are gonna go? There's almost 50-50.
Yeah.
They won't be able to
But
do
that
it
it-
anymore.
It depends on where they're going, but I don't think they're gonna make a right-hand turn on University.
But I think that's just because of the.
Because they're
convenience
probably
of being
going
able-
down,
Yeah, being
trying to
able to
get to
do
the
that.
freeway.
I used to do it, I mean, back when I mean, been there forever. And that's the way I would always take when I wanted to go south on 54th. I didn't go up to University, I took that. But if it wasn't there, I'd be going to University and I'd make the left and I go on down, or I go College Grove Way, or you find an alternative.
Well, there's one other thing about that whole triangle area, and that is that the park isn't the only thing that's gonna be there, and that AM group, whatever it is, isn't the only thing that's gonna be there either. That's gonna be a developed area.
That's right.
And so having the cut through, having Lee Street cut through is gonna be beneficial to all those businesses, homeowners, whatever's gonna be there.
Because they come out of the Burlington's, they come this way rather than go down to the light. You've got to cross 2 lanes of highway, make that left-hand turn on the 54th Street to come back here. If they had the Lee Street, they would avoid the hazards going across
Yeah.
University.
Wasn't, weren't these graded by the community members? Like, we're not gonna change that, are we? We're gonna turn it in and.
No, we're just talking comments and,
Got it.
and a little background knowledge, what we know about the project, that's all. John?
I was just gonna say, from personal experience with hedges, and I love a hedge. But you have to be careful in any kind of traffic situation because they can obscure people's view, and they creep out, and there's cars coming fast because people go so fast. So I'm way more for hedges than I am for fences, but there are certain places where I think a fence is probably unfortunately more appropriate.
Because if you have a hedge, they're gonna jump it, all of a sudden they're gonna go right into the traffic.
Well,
You won't be seeing the traffic.
Maybe keeping the fence, but then also do the hedge around it,
Right,
because,
make it,
yeah,
Yeah.
double, because the fence keeps cars out better than just a hedge too.
Yeah.
You know,
I go along with it.
up on College, when you're going down towards the 8, they put in the black post in the middle as the fence. I think they missed a real opportunity because you could put public art on there that you could see as you drive by.
Mm-hmm.
When if it's at an angle. So if you wanted to improve
That vision.
the fence.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like Danielle said, it's really there to keep the kids from crossing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so putting black poles. The huge issue is the safety for the kids and for all the drivers.
Get confusing too. What the heck?
Okay, we got 5 more, let's move on. Okay, so this is from Oak Park and, let's see these all. So this one's a little hard to see. Sorry, I'm gonna blow it up. if I can. Okay, so, Richard from Oak Park, this is your first priority is, bike lanes, protected bike lanes on 54th from College Grove to University. Right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And then, sorry, folks. And then, the rest of this are street lights where you're missing street lights. Are these 4 locations, are all of these locations in areas that haven't been undergrounded yet?
The one on Seaford may not have been undergrounded. I don't know. I haven't really, looked closely. I didn't know I was gonna have to answer that question. The one on Bayview Heights Drive north of Grape Street, it already has a street light there, but it's nowhere near where all the illegal dumping goes at the cul-de-sac.
Mhm.
So that should be an easy one. I think there is electricity on 52nd Street. You go to F. On that one, that should be easy. Again, there are existing streetlights. They are not lighting up sufficiently. And whatever they can do there to deter the illegal dumping, the car camping, and of course, the occasional RV that has prostitution going on there.
Okay,
But if you want me to check, if you want me to check, I can double check and see, because I guess that makes it, if there's already service going to those areas, then that makes it easier to sell to engineering.
I don't believe they'll install new street poles. Unless
But-
it's,
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
so you do need an existing post to locate it at. And I think I sent you the information that Roberto sent to me sometime back, which is it's still at the discretion of the city and the mayor's office as to whether they
Mhm.
will put a street light in.
Right.
So, but you know, it's a priority, so that's what's going in.
And that's what
Andy?
we got, yeah, that's what we got from the residents
Okay.
about those. So, yeah, just put it in and see what happens.
Thanks.
Oh,
Andy.
Richard. On coming down Cottage Grove Drive, before you get to the light,
Mhm.
there's a community right by the wall that's up there. It still has the old sign. Rest of the city streets have that blue. This one doesn't have a blue one. They've got something, they have
That's,
the old system.
that's not a capital improvement project.
Oh, it's not a capital, okay.
No, you can go straight to the city website and go, there's actually a form to fill out online for it to get a new sign. And you will have to wait a couple of years. It's because there's some kind of metal shortage, I think, and it takes a long
It's not a
time.
mandatory, but it's just the only one that I know of that doesn't have it.
Any other questions? Richard? Okay,
No other questions. Let's just go with it and see what happens.
yep. Okay, thanks, Richard. John, I don't have your file.
Well, we only had three things. I can read them out for you.
Yes, but I'll need the form. Glad you're getting a little help on that.
Flex week this week. So Jennifer's working like 70 hours a week. So our number one thing was repurpose a city-owned vacant lot at the corner of 60th and University for a miniature skate park. Second thing was sidewalks on Dwight Street. There's an area that's about block and a half where there's no sidewalks like on either side. And that street is going to be getting a lot more traffic when they do close off Joyous Parkway. And people have to walk either in somebody's yard or they're going to have to walk on the outside of the parked cars in the traffic. And then the third one was undergrounding utilities on Dwight and the surrounding areas. There's not much, Redwood Village hasn't had much in the way of undergrounding done. We're behind with respect to other cities. The one main project that they did, which is Hughes Street, was done because it was under a special grant because the school was there. So those were our three things. As far as the skate park goes, that obviously that plot of land right there is not being used right now except for as a campground. So we thought that it also has a better effect. There was this, for those of you guys who live down there, there's a wall there that's private residence, the back of their garage or something, and it's been forever graffitied with two gangs who are constantly hugging the wall and crossing each other out. And one of the things that, because it's right next to this place where no one is ever there, we thought another thing that would be great about the skate park would be that there would never be this time where it's empty. So we hope that that would energize and sort of bring new life to that. What is that? It's a pretty depressing little plot of land that we clean up about every 6 months. And so those are our three things. I don't know, hopefully at least at least one of them will get picked up.
I have Jennifer first. Jennifer?
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm looking at the form right now. Sorry about that. And we had a fourth item that was added in the free fill-in area. There's a missing sidewalk on Hughes Street between Glade and Kirch Street. It's a small area of about 100 feet, 150 feet. So that would be our fourth item. Just a random area on Hughes Street that doesn't have a sidewalk, so.
It's Bourne Street.
Yeah.
Jennifer.
Oh,
Bourne.
Sorry,
That's right.
Bourne. Okay, I'll make that change right now. Thank
In
you.
real time, I like it. Laura?
You were mentioning a skate park and then you mentioned homes. If I was a person who had a home, I would not want all the noise of a skate park.
It's bordered on four sides by nothing, basically. The private residence, it's a concrete wall that's the back of a garage of some sort. And so there's no windows or anything. It's the DeVita is to the east of that, the car wash is to the west of it, and the university is on the other. So
That's still a lot of noise day in and day out.
well, I mean,
I doubt if you could hear it over the 16,000 cars a day.
They have their own university.
yeah.
This here, right?
The plus is that that piece of property actually belongs to the city. And it's been under review for I don't know how many years now. It's just sitting there since they finished the DeVita Center. So it does belong to the city already. It's a plus. We have to be creative in trying to find park space.
I know, but park is not as noisy as a skate park. Skate parks are very loud. They're quite noisy. I've been surprised when I've gone by them and kids use them a lot. I mean, it's not that I think the kids would love having one. It's just that if the residents are right there, I've never seen one right next to a resident. They've always been off on their own. And I have been very surprised at how noisy they are. So
Yeah, well, luckily there are no residents immediately adjacent. Like I said, I don't know it's the concrete wall, but I believe that's private property, but I don't know if they're across the street, but.
yeah, but even if it's a garage, there's probably a house on it. Right?
Yeah, the house faces the street that's
Yeah.
further south, so, Rock Street, or, yeah, I think that's Rock Street.
Let's say the city doesn't approve that.
Yeah.
But they would approve a linear park there because that's such a long stretch. Would the village, Redwood Village be open to that idea?
When did you say linear?
But like a pocket park. Maybe a playground at the very end.
I think
some
that
benches, landscaping.
anything that wouldn't allow people to camp there, I think any kind of park immediately that's not a skate park becomes a campground, and all it'll be is a nicer campground than it is now. And if that's what they want to do, let's go down there and make it nice ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, why wait for the city? We could go down there and plant trees and grass and that kind of stuff ourselves for a relatively small amount of money.
Absolutely.
And make it ourselves instead of waiting 10 years for them to spend $3 million on something we could spend, 3,000 on.
You might want to do that as you wait for a skate park too.
Pardon?
You might want to do that in the interim of waiting for a skate park.
Good, yeah. I mean, we've thought about, going down and guerrilla planting, bushes, cactus and that kind of stuff, you know. It doesn't take a lot and no one's there to stop us, so.
It's currently an open green space, right?
It's an open brown dirt space.
It's
Yeah, it's,
But you're gonna put gray concrete.
yeah, it would be a park space and it may not be, you know, it may not be gray. It could be blacktop. I don't know what the current, I don't know what the area will allow. But yeah, right now it's just dirt with weeds about that tall, which get tamped down. So it's more like grasses, wheat grasses. So ideally, anything that would make it nicer there. You know, I guess.
We'll submit, let's see what happens.
I have a question.
Sure.
For me. On the sidewalks, well, not so much sidewalks, but let's say the undergrounding, like this is specific to a specific street. But in the comments, a lot of the commenters mentioned undergrounding. Could this be modified at all to maybe include undergrounding throughout Redwood Village, or is it perhaps to stay that area?
I actually have one when we finish the community ones for the committee to look at overall, that we would submit. One of them would be about finishing the undergrounding in all 6 communities.
Because if the undergrounding is specific blocks, like each project is a separate project. That's why you could get one block done and you look at their list and it's 40 years from now. The street that's next
So
to
they
it.
only do it a block at a time.
Yeah, well,
wouldn't do
a section.
Unless you're in Kensington, then you can
Yeah,
get
they
your
do
whole
it all
community
then.
done.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and because you donate a lot of money to.
That's how that works. I see.
Or whatever.
Yes, or you're.
But yeah, for the Dwight Street seemed like a good one to get done because it is gonna be a much more busy thoroughfare as if they ever do close off toilets. May or may not.
It's gonna happen. Have faith. Hey, look what's already been done. I mean, at least 2 major things, the cleaning and the storage units.
Yeah.
It's, the train is moving.
Right, let's move on. We've got 3 more communities here. And thanks, Emily, for picking up the slack while Bob went on vacation. So, I was under the impression that Seminole was being repaved starting this month.
I was too.
Uh-huh.
But if you look on the Streets San Diego website that shows you all of the streets and you can look up their status. It's no longer listed as funded and it's no longer has a date.
Okay.
I'm not sure that our neighborhood knows that yet because the city engineers came and spoke to us 3 or 4 months ago and said.
Right.
Here's the timeline, which they also said was gonna happen a year ago, so.
It got dropped off because it's gonna start being done. And so there was no reason to keep it on for future dates.
But you can look up any of you can see if something is funded or not funded, if it's scheduled, if it's not scheduled, if it has nothing.
I think, yeah, before I send this off tomorrow, we should talk with Roberto or Jeffrey. No, it's not Jeffrey, it's Sarah. And see if they, yes. Thank you, Roberto. Yeah, yes, because I wouldn't want to be at the next Rolando Community Council meeting if it's not going to happen.
And they weren't going to pave it all the way up to El Cajon. They were gonna stop Stanley. What they had told us was Seminole from Estelle to Stanley was one section that was supposed to start. anytime. And then a second section from Stanley to Art Street was not scheduled, and that is the worst section of the street.
Yeah.
And it is not. And it has not received.
Oh, I wonder
anything
if
since
it's
1990.
because In-N-Out Burger's going in and they're gonna make them do part of the repay. But sometimes they do that.
That's on Art Street.
I know, but if they're gonna be going in, they might take it off the city's funding stuff and make
They
the
were gonna,
applicant do it,
when
because they
they,
do that
when they
sometimes.
built Boulevard 63, they said they would pay you. When that was
No, believe
yeah,
me.
it's 8 years ago.
Emily, did you want to include the one that Bob, we talked about, for the storm drain repair on, is it part?
Yes,
Okay,
let me go back to my email and find that. Yes.
okay, I'll add it. So there, just like, one sec, there is Bob sent one in, and I'm glad you found the other things that need to be fixed, but there's this stormwater drain that needs to be completely redone, I believe. And
Pools, right?
sorry?
The range is pools.
Pools, and then it floods down the hill, and the city's already designing a culvert at the bottom of Alamo and University. This would feed right into that, so it makes sense if we could try and get that on the list as well. Okay, John?
Oh, I just was wondering if the repay, Seminole, is that the one you're talking about that is really?
It's really bad.
Goes right by the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the fire station.
Right.
Mhm.
And that was, they were waiting to repave it after they finish the
Underground.
underground.
Well, first it was till after Boulevard 63 was done, and it was after the
Yeah.
undergrounding was done.
Our Hughes Street,
Then it was when all the poles were removed.
Right.
yeah, we have the same thing on Hughes Street, and we're a few years ahead of you on that. And there's no repavings type. So our project was scheduled for 2016 to start. It was supposed to be all completely done by 2020. And I think it was in 2020 that it started, so 2019. So, and we never got repaved.
It's on the list.
It's on the, yeah,
Well, because you're having water and sewer mains
Just
replaced.
all done. It's all already been done. But the
They just started the construction on it.
on Hughes Street,
No, there's, we had a presentation a few months ago on Redwood Village and Rolando Park. Some of these are tied together. I'll find it.
I
But
think Redwood, I thought Hughes Street, when they did the undergrounding, they replaced all the.
no, it's tied into the whole project. So it is on the list, but it's not until next year. It's 2025, I think. So anyway, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's, anything else, about the Rolando?
So Salida pavement also not on any sort of funding or schedule. for
Mhm.
paving. The sidewalks, I know sidewalks are technically now homeowner's responsibility. I'm not sure how it looks with, the trees on Rolando that have been there for 80 years. Pulled up all through,
Yeah.
all in the right of way, so.
Yeah. Roberto, are you online?
Yes, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
If they're
That's all
Okay.
right.
to plant trees in the city right of way, then.
Yeah, so thank you for speaking on that really quick. Yes, it is true that it is the responsibility of the owners, but I always tell folks, always inquire with their office. It doesn't hurt to always try. Sometimes the city will fix the sidewalk. There's been instances where I live here in Barrio Logan, and they randomly, one day I was doing work and they fixed the sidewalk in front of me. Didn't get a notification, didn't get anything. So they do it from time to time. I think it's just important to communicate that to your rep. It's happened to me where we've tried, and I would say probably 75% of the time we've gotten it successful. getting their sidewalks redone. But I would, yeah, again, there is a incentive to give folks and owners. I think the city gives like rebates or some sort of fee waiver for the construction if they put money towards the sidewalk. I'm happy to give more specifics. I do know the transportation department sent us a detailed kind of description on what that is, what is obligated by law. So I'm happy to send that to Lynn to share out with everyone so that they know what is and what is not permitted by the owner.
Okay, just wait, Richard?
No, that's okay. Roberto just answered my question. So Lynn, I'll wait for that information and get it from you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank
Andy?
you.
Mine's a follow-up on Roberto. If there's not current sidewalk, does the owner have to pay for it?
Mhm.
Or does the city pay for it? The initial sidewalk?
Yeah, good question. I don't have any specific, like a specific answer. What I do know is in those cases, it's a kind of like it depends. It's a case by case basis, I like to say. So for example, if there's no sidewalk in the front of your whatever residency, right? But you have ADA issues or you have some sort of special circumstance. I know the city at times will accommodate that. Outside of that, I'm unsure. So again, that kind of packet I was mentioning right now has tons of information, and I'm happy to elaborate that a little more at the next meeting if that helps. If you have any questions as well.
Okay, thank you. Jen and then Laura.
Okay, Roberto, maybe is repaving a street a get it done issue? Because it looks like that's an option.
Yeah, so I for any street, and this includes Seminole, I've worked on that project a little bit before I handed it over. It's not, this is what I would do, and I've gotten this, it just depends, right? Moral discretion. I would take pictures of it, and I mean like take detailed pictures, send it to your rep, whoever it is, right? Have them advocate to Lucero in the mayor's office, and go from there. Usually the transportation department, it depends on funding, right? Like I'm telling you, they randomly will repave streets and we have no idea. One of the instances being in Rolanda Park, right? And some other area. So that's the route I would go to. And just communicate that to your council member, or if it's in D9, I communicate it to Sean. But that's the route I would go. I would heavily advise against using Get It Done. A lot of people have that assumption. Unless it's a pothole, I would just take pictures and send it to your rep.
Okay, thank you, Roberto. Laura?
I wanted to know if the sidewalks in front of businesses and on main streets like El Cajon Boulevard are considered differently than residential, or are those just going to be up to the owner of the property as well?
Yeah, what I can speak on that specific instance, it's residential is a lot more, I would say, simpler. The city is never simple, to be quite honest. But for businesses, I do know it's a little different, right? We've got MADs, we've got bids. So I will ask Jeffrey to follow up on that because he probably will know more than I do. But definitely we'll get you a response on that, Laura.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, thanks, Roberto.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, so let's sort of move on. If I can add that one for the stormwater and then we'll be done. Okay. So. I think ours will be pretty straightforward. We've done it a couple times now. Okay, our biggest ask, and we actually had to change our priority list a little bit because getting a sidewalk from the 94 freeway to University has been on the planning committee's CIP list since 2010. They are almost done with the first 20%. The next section, which would be from Judy McCarty Way to Meridian, which will make it about a 50% complete, is still in planning. They won't start construction until 2026. So we just want to see the sidewalk complete. There are lots of people that live along the college corridor. It's low income. a lot of people walk over to the College Grove Shopping Center or have to walk down to University for transportation. And as the crow flies, you cannot walk down College. You will have to traverse back and forth through Redwood Village or through Rolando Park to get down to University.
And figure in this.
Yeah,
Let's say
you
walk-
can,
walk
I
is
know,
great.
but I'd rather not on College,
Right. Plenty of it.
College Avenue. So that was our number one ask until we asked our community what they'd like to see. And you might recall that last year we had a little bit of a discussion about Xena Canyon. We were hoping to get it declared a joint use park. And City Park and Rec came back and said it doesn't meet their model because it's not networked or contiguous with like City Heights canyons, so it doesn't fit their model. But it turns out that the school district is pretty interested in selling it because it's a big headache to them. We just finished in the spring, they just cleared out all the homeless encampments, which have been there for this time 3 or 4 years. And they spent several $1,000s doing brush abatement. The other side of that now is that any homeless that move in become a big headache for them because school police have to come out. School police have to work with our community relations officer and neighborhood policing on issues. And aside from fire issues, it's just a sad waste of space. It's not open to the community because it is district property. It's a no trespassing. And we had talked to Groundwork last year about the possibility of turning this into open space, and that's what the city would be interested in. And working with, it'd be on a much smaller level than anything Canyonlands does, but creating some open trails down there, getting rid of the non-native vegetation and replanting native stuff. So it's a small property, it's 14 acres, it'd be a nice little community open space. I was surprised that shot right to the top of the list, just like that. We're like, what? That sidewalk's really important. But so that's our list. And then the other two are just sidewalks that have been around that don't have a few. I don't know if you drive by at the corner of Rolando and Vista Grande. It's where the Choyas Creek drains into the stormwater drain. And there isn't a sidewalk there. As you come around that, and you don't want to do it at like 8 o'clock in the morning, it's a little bit hazardous. So that was the third project that people weighed in on. And the last one is just a sidewalk that was left out back in the 50s. 69th is the boundary between Rolando Park and La Mesa, between Waite and Livingston. And it doesn't have any sidewalks on the Rolando Park side. So that's all we have. Questions, comments? Nope. Easy, okay.
On 55th Street, from Grape Street up 1 block, there's no sidewalk.
Yeah.
The rest of the street has sidewalk.
Yeah.
Can we add that, or does the owner have to pay for that?
How long is it?
1 block?
That's a CIP project. Yep. That's a block would be a little bit more than,
I think it's a block.
yeah. Submit it. Okay, last and certainly not least is Webster with 2 projects.
It is the least, isn't it? In fact.
You have 2.
Number of people voted.
So my computer doesn't have Excel, so I opened it up in a Google Doc and I shared the Google Doc with you. I don't know.
Like, let's see. I think we could verbally.
Okay.
So.
I think what we.
I
want
just
to do
reshared it with you,
is
so.
keep that fire station place green, but we can't exactly put that on, we can't ask for a negative, I guess.
That's not in our area to be able to do that. It falls outside of our boundaries.
So Sure, no. I think we'll just talk about it verbally, okay?
Say
Okay.
Got it, I know. There we
Okay,
go.
okay.
So we have, Green Street on,
I'm not sure where the rest of it is. Green Street on Mary Lou Alley. In between Brookline and 49th. There it is.
and the second one is,
Sidewalks on A Street between 49th and 47th Street.
okay. So do we know who the property owner is on this?
Yes, Jen found out that it's the city,
Ah, well, that
which
makes
is
it,
very fortunate.
yeah,
And if it doesn't go through, we're just gonna adapt John's idea, of just
Ask for forgiveness.
go in there and do it anyways.
Look what you started.
oh, okay. So in sidewalks, okay. So this is another example of being creative a little bit.
Because we don't have a park, and so it would be the first park
Mhm.
for Webster. That would also eliminate a lot of dumping that happens over there and create a safe walkway for kids to get to Webster Elementary. They
Mhm.
wouldn't have to walk on Federal Boulevard.
Which is about to be worse with the bus station.
No, I think it's a great project. It's very creative to find space and make some lemonade out of a lemon. And sidewalks, I've been on that street. This street actually has a roundabouts. No, that's the other street. Okay.
Yeah, A Street, it's another entry point to the 94 going west.
Right.
And so A Street is, for a long time, it was heavily traveled by semis to get on and off the 94 right there, but on either side, there's no sidewalks. And it's a really dangerous street to
Sure
walk
it is.
up and down.
Got it. Okay, any questions, comments? Straightforward again. Okay. Do have one last, sorry, just. So we have, we still have a few things that we should talk about real quick. And yes, it's late. So, sort of thinking that as a planning group, there's 3 projects here that we should talk about whether we want to submit with our community priorities. One of them being to continue to push for the tree canopy on University Avenue. The second one is, Alex brought this up, and it's for the College Rolando Library. And that's to get some resolution to 50 parking spaces for the library. I did get the exact verbiage came from Tom last night because the college planning group is also submitting this as a CIP request. And it turns out that they could purchase land and build a parking lot, and that would be a CIP project. So I think what we're looking for is just to find some resolution to this. This has been going on for 7 years now. The developer at some point is probably not going to keep that parking space open for the library. What happens to the library then without any parking? And the third one is to, a big typo, prioritize. Completion of undergrounding in our communities. I know in Rolando Park, they did 1/3 and stopped. And now the last year it was going to be 2037 before they picked up the other 2, which have been allocated. One of them's been allocated for 7 years. It should be in construction. And it's not even in 2037 now. It's on in the master plan list, which means we don't know when it will be done. And if we look around and if you go out and look at the underground map, take a look at the eastern area. I mean, take a look at all of Mid-City, but take a look at the eastern area at the sections that haven't been done. I just think we should make a push here and that the city should recognize that they need to come back to communities in the mid-city area, particularly our community area, and wrap this up. I would like to see some of it before I go.
Right.
Literally.
You win the lottery.
Yeah,
Right.
me
No.
too.
Agree.
Yeah. It is ridiculous. And if you live on a street that's been undergrounded, you know what a difference it makes that first day when the power poles are down and you look out and you actually have a sight line that doesn't have wires in it. It's pretty amazing. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Questions, comments?
How much of our area needs to be done? I don't think any, we've got on Trojan. In El Cerrito, they did undergrounding, but you don't have undergrounding, right? I think that's the only street in all of El Cerrito that was underground.
If you should go out and look at the map because in all 6
I know, I've
communities, it's,
seen it
yeah.
Finalized, but I mean, that's a huge area, just in El Cerrito, and then all our neighborhoods, how much had Hughes Street's very similar to what they did in our area. They did whatever was good for the school, right?
Yeah, it's a big difference.
So how much of our eastern area, I think it's a gigantic amount that needs to be underground, right?
It's at least 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, do we just let it float? I don't think so.
Do you think we just add it to the CIP list?
I'm good. I would like to add those 3 as planning group priorities in addition to what we submit for each community. We just want to keep pushing about the tree canopy. I mean, I think that's important, undergrounding and some resolution for the city, for the College Rolando Library. It just can't go on when they actually were looking at potentially moving to the Rite Aid location.
We've
Yeah.
seriously been talking about just moving it completely because if they do away with the parking, it becomes a building that's going to be very not hardly used.
Right. And it's
Right. Well, it's gonna be in and out now.
maybe.
Well, in and out's looking at.
It's in review. That's all I'll say, but it's in review.
Oh, you heard that it?
They got a long list.
I think those are great ideas. Let's ask for everything.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
What
no,
does it
I
hurt?
think it's a good idea.
Yeah. I looked at the college list last night and they had 18 on theirs. They're a little fancy. They did a map and numbered the map with the location for everything. We'll not get that done.
And are we prioritizing them 1, 2, and 3? Or can we make them all number 1s?
I think they're all just,
That should all be number 1.
yeah, we'll
Okay,
just make them all
good.
number 1s. Okay. All right. Any other comments? Let's see if we can wrap up tonight a little bit. I'll have to be motion. Yes. I need a motion to approve our capital improvement project list as is. Thank you, Alex. Second. Sonia. All right, roll call vote. John?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Bettina?
Yes.
Emily? Jen?
100%, yeah.
Kristen?
Yeah.
Laura?
Yeah.
Sonia?
Yes.
All right, that action item passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Okay, on to review and approval of the July minutes. Thank you, Kristen. Bettina will be taking minutes next month.
No.
Oh, you're just this month. Oh, okay, sorry.
2 months in a row.
I might be getting a little
Doing
tired.
this again.
Awesome. You got a next one.
Right.
I already have this.
She's like, no.
Did everyone have a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
I had a couple, well, one addition in, the part where it talked about reports from, with representatives and Alex talking about the building on Oklahoma Boulevard. I think it should specifically say that it's the Path Villas building.
Where is that, Laura?
Path Village,
Um,
Cerrito.
Yeah, Path Villas. It's, on page 3, and under subcommittee report,
Okay,
community update.
Oh,
and it
the-
says Alex, community walkthrough of the El Cerrito building. That should be the Path Villas El Cerrito building, and it's actually only 40 units of that. So maybe you should even mention the 40 units, because that building's gonna end up having about 160, 170 units. So the 40 we looked at is not near what it's gonna be like on spec.
okay.
Oh, and then Danielle's name has 2 L under Parks and Rec. First, it's hyphenated and it has the 1 L, and then right under it, it has a double L.
Okay,
I don't mind. Everybody knows me.
that's true, we do.
Danielle,
All right, any other corrections?
Yes.
Okay.
On page 2,
Mhm.
under city, county and state representatives reports, there's just some, like formatting. In the second bullet, looks like there's a space.
Between.
They broke up the sentence.
Oh, yeah,
Service,
it's a
yeah.
wrapping issue.
Yeah, wrapping, and then it so it happened twice in that sentence.
Uh-huh.
And then, the 1, 2, 3, 4th bullet, Kate will be running, should service be capitalized? Is it Service Academy? Formal name, okay. And then, I don't know how big of a deal this is, but also page 2 under Karen's report, second bullet, I think funding should have a capital, sorry.
Okay.
And then under Roberto's report,
There's a wrap.
there's a wrap, and then it just says council member has met regularly with the chief. Should we specify, was it the police chief? Or does that not? Me.
Like,
I'm police chief.
Yeah.
chief.
Yeah.
Thanks,
With
Roberto.
the police chief.
I'm still alive here.
And then one more thing on that page,
I'm just gonna take your notes.
the same point, the sentence that's to flag it to the chief and the captain of mid-city, let's say SDPD. That's understood. Captain of mid-city police or SDPD.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
City division.
Mid-city division. Yeah, division, police
Sure.
division, something, I don't know. Just,
That it?
one more little thing on page 4. Danielle would be so proud of me. On page 4, the
Already
very
am.
last, under mid-city community planning update, Lynn, the very last sentence, especially during September, I'm not sure if that should have all been one sentence, section, comma, especially during September, or if that,
Let's make a comma after section.
yeah, and then, okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other corrections? Motion to approve with corrections. Thank you, Alex. Second. Laura. Okay, roll call vote. John,
Yes.
Alex, Andy.
Saying I wasn't here.
Oh, that's right.
I had COVID.
That's right. Bettina,
Yes.
Emily, Jen, Kristen,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Sonia.
Yes.
Okay, approved with corrections. Thank you. On to the subcommittee reports. It's 9 o'clock. Can we keep our community updates as brief as possible? If you have a community update, raise your hand, please. Alex.
Just a quick one. We did do the through the Castle of El Cerrito last Thursday. And we did talk about it in the community meeting in 2 days. It's actually very interesting, because you were there about an hour with various staff members and walked through the whole facility. What it was going to be like. At our meeting coming up in 2 days, I guess you know the city took a community event on Measure B.
Yeah.
About how charging for trash and recycling pickup at single family homes. We're going to have the PR firm that's running the cost of service study come to our community meeting. in 2 days. So if you're interested, you can show up and talk to them about what this cost of server survey is going to be all about.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? I'm just gonna say, the same consulting firm will be at our September meeting.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we're all excited.
At Yolanda.
And I just also want to thank a few people for coming out Saturday. We had our third annual Movie in the Park event in Rolando Park. Strangely, Emily was there spying on us. But it was pretty successful. We had more than 200 people again. Went pretty well. So thanks for showing up, and that's it. Richard?
Yeah, hi. Real quick, Oak Park today they had a Get It Done workshop at the Jacobs Center. But I think that was more of an introductory type workshop. Oak Park has already drafted a letter that we're going to be sending to all of the pertinent parties within the city and the council, asking specifically questions about the business process. Exactly how do they handle complaints coming in? Who oversees them, and that kind of stuff. It's going to be a pretty good letter. We're going to keep it very brief, but it gets right to the point. And it's, whenever a local agency has to respond to how they do business, they don't like it. They like to keep their business processes kind of to themselves. But we're going to open it up because it's necessary for the Get It Done. There's a big gap we have seen in Get It Done responses, and no one knows who is doing what or who in the city actually made the decisions. So that's what we're trying to get at in this letter. Just to give you information. Anyone wants to see it, we can send you a draft. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. Anyone else? Emily?
Rolando Community Council is hosting Movie in the Park on August 24th.
Yes. And what movie are you showing?
Encanto.
Encanto. We just, all of us showed that movie 3 years ago. We had
refresh.
Yeah,
Refresh, right?
we had Danielle knows, in 2 days, we had 4 movie events between Choyas Lake, Colina, Rolando, and Rolando Park, and 3 of us showed Encanto. Danielle, do you have something for us from Parks and Recreation?
Yes, first of all, August is a dark month for the Parks and Rec Board. But in July, we heard 2 very interesting reports, one from Canyonlands and the other from Open Space. For those who read the UT, there was a very interesting article today about Crawford High School. And 2 short sentences caught my eye towards the middle of it, stating that there will be new swim classes for students. They will go over safety, but there will be an opportunity for becoming a junior lifeguard if they complete the 24-week class. So I am going to try and find out more. I am assuming it's going to be happening at Colina Pool, but tomorrow is a CP1, CP2 joint Zoom meeting, which means both north half of the city and south half of the city will be hearing some Zoom updates on Zoom. And so I will ask a little more detail about how Colina Pool is involved with Crawford High School. And in a future meeting of Park and Rec Board, we should be having a update from the Aquatics Division, because we have not had one for several years at the Parks and Rec Board. And there's been all these issues of pools closing, especially during the summer, and not being open in time because of boiler issues, etc. So the other thing I would just like to let everyone know is that our Little League is going to be starting fall ball practices soon. And we have 5 teams, which is almost as many as we have during our spring season. So you'll be seeing some city workers up there soon clearing around the edges of our park, because hopefully we'll be signing a new special use permit and SUP soon as the city clears it all up and we start with a clean slate. And that SUP is 10 years old. supposed to be renewed every 3 years, so they're way behind on those, but they're catching up. So if anybody has questions, if not, I'll see you next month.
Thanks, Danielle. Any questions, for Danielle? Okay, Laura, quick,
For CPC, we had, meeting, we just had a couple items. One was we went ahead and voted on approving the short-term vacation rental ordinance. That was, changes to the short-term vacation rental ordinance. Trying to make sure that we don't have one person taking ownership with a bunch of other people. Where he owns all of them and gets all the benefit of them and they have their names on them. Real abuse of how the system's supposed to work. And then some of the things that they also started recommending is that only a portion of a building, like right now, sometimes they'll go in and take an apartment building and turn all of the apartments into short-term vacation rentals. And it takes away housing for an area. So they're trying to limit how many percentage of how many units could be used as short-term vacation rentals in an instance like that. And then they're also talking about trying to limit the distance between the units, not just having one vacation rental after another, but having a block distance or something. So we went ahead and approved all of those. And then we also talked about the environmentally sensitive lands update request. We have some for the land development code. Right now, it used to be that if something was environmentally sensitive land, it had to have a process 5. And nobody can find anywhere that there was any real change made from a process 5, but all of a sudden in the land development code, it's been showing up as a process 2. And so we looked into that and we can't find anything that would have been a reason for it to change from 5 to 2. We think it's a clerical error. So we're asking that it be put back to a process 5. And I was thinking that perhaps that might actually impact the fire station that they talked about. I'm gonna kind of keep track of that a little bit.
okay, thank you. If only that would be true.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah. Real quick before we adjourn, next month is a full agenda again. We have 2 conditional use permits to approve. They're for existing cell towers, no changes. We do have a request from traffic engineering to make a recommendation to establish parking time limits on University between College and Cartagena, both north and south. They have already sent out letters to residents and businesses. So I can't recall that we've been asked by parking to do anything in the eastern area, so this will be interesting. And last, Alex Frost from City Planning will be here for an update on the existing conditions. So next week I will send out an email, and if you want Alex to address specific topics, I'd like to have that list so that I can send it out to him a couple of weeks ahead of time and keep it organized and see. He's just a messenger, folks. Let's know. So I think that's it. There will be another community plan update meeting on September 11th, but I don't have the details yet.
Lynn,
Yeah, not a
since
good
you-
day.
Sorry to butt in, but since you asked about issues for Alex to go over, could you ask him to provide all of our written comments that we gave at the first Mid-City Working Group?
They're online.
To reply in writing to all of our comments that we gave in. I gave 30 comments and I would like to see 30 written replies, please.
Okay. Could you send that to me in an email?
Sure, no problem. I just want to have it out there in public record that a lot of witnesses heard me request that.
Lots, all right. Motion to adjourn. Thank you, everyone.
So moved.
Thank you. Second. All right. Thanks, everyone. Sorry it went a little long, but Infrastructure is important. Good night, everyone online. Thank you.
Good morning.
Yeah.
I think that afterwards,